don't think you can have a starker contrast. Russia is all about the Tsar or Putin, the one guy in charge, and everything else is submissive to that. And Ukraine is wilder. It's all about the individual and the family and the community, separate from the government.
The editor of Ukrainian Freedom News is Joseph Lindsley, and we check in with him live at about this time every morning. Joseph, I can't tell you how happy we are here that you were recognized by Chicago Sun-Times columnist Neil Steinberg in that piece that's in the Sun-Times today. Your reporting deserves rewards and recognition, and we really appreciate what you do here every morning. Let me just quote my favorite line from Steinberg's Sun-Times piece today. Lindsley has provided something rare in our world of corporate and automated radio, regular, real humanity. That's what you do here, Joe. Way to
Well,
go.
Bob, thank you for sharing that, and thank you to Mr. Steinberg for that great column in the Sun-Times, which I'll also tribute to, I mean, everything your team has done here as well. And I really liked his line. He said, "I admire how the station's traditional pie cooling on a sill neighborliness is wedded to international crisis." And so I'm grateful for the for the chance to, often we have to discuss very heavy. I mean, the whole topic is inherently difficult and challenging, but to be able to have the sense of humor and the storytelling in this time, I think it shows that we have the audience is so loyal and faithful, and I think together we've been together every step of the way for almost one full year now.
Yeah, hard to believe, but true. And we certainly appreciate your reports. I want to ask you today about what I've been reading about China. Is it possible that a setback in Ukraine that could lead to a weakened Russia is something China just does not want to see, and that might lead them to be a little more involved in a possible negotiation for peace?
I mean, Bob, this is hard. I mean, this has been a question since the very beginning, since 1 year ago. There's a couple different angles we have to look at. One is Taiwan. Taiwan and Ukraine are in such similar circumstances. Free countries, free societies with a neighbor who wants them to be extinguished. And often, in Taiwan and China, there's a common language. Many people in eastern Ukraine speak Russian. And so there's a lot of parallels between these two situations. Many people thought that China has been watching to see how this war would go for Russia before they figured out what to do with Taiwan. On one level, on the other level, the Chinese economy, really does require, interdependence. Selling goods to the entire world. And what do the Chinese have to gain from getting into an awful war? So a lot of people have thought that the Chinese have, try to counsel some caution here. Russia is thought, needs China as an ally. I mean, Russia doesn't have many allies today. There's new rumors and fears that maybe China has been or will be providing weapons to Russia. And I think it's the tactic of Moscow, but it's definitely the tactic of Beijing to keep people guessing. Everything's a chess game, and they want the world to be afraid and at their beck and call. But what we do have is two totalitarian regimes who they don't believe in freedom. The Chinese people, I'm sorry, not the Chinese people, the Chinese government took away the freedom of the people of Hong Kong during the pandemic, the Muslim Uyghur people. And this is sort of the same story. And I think if you look at in the 1970s, the United States used to recognize Taiwan. And then under Henry Kissinger, when he was Secretary of State, they switched to recognizing the Communist Party in Beijing as sort of the legitimate China. And maybe what we see now is what happens if you pander to tyrants and dictators. And again, this goes back to Zelensky's speech in London. Let's use this moment to truly stand up to tyranny. But that is a heavy question now. I mean, today, February 22nd, 2 days from now will be the 1 year anniversary of Russia's full-scale invasion. There's a lot of concerns about how Russia might be maneuvering. In fact, here in Kharkiv, just a couple hours ago, we had, I think it was 5 missiles hit the city. It was kind of a sleepless night. Many air alarms. Everyone is expecting something new. I had just left the coffee shop. I was about to give a virtual class to a group of American Jewish students in Jerusalem to talk about the war. And right before that, I'm walking with my cup of coffee back into the hotel when that first thud, that first S-300 missile arrived in the center of Kharkiv, and then 4 more followed. And all of these there's a sense that this is a prelude to something nasty that the Russians are cooking up.
Scary stuff. And in the wake of President Biden's speech in Poland, is there a sense of not enthusiasm, but a lift in the spirits of the people there, Joe?
Yeah, I think that, especially his speech in Kyiv, I think that did it all. That gave so much encouragement to Ukrainians during what is, inherently a difficult week. This week of not only the anniversary of the full-scale invasion, but 9 years ago, for example, today, the Ukrainian, the Rada, the parliament, during the, you had hundreds of thousands of people in the streets. The numbers were growing, all different ages, Christian, Jewish, Muslim, every type of Ukrainian imaginable. And on this day, February 22nd, the parliament voted unanimously to oust President Yanukovych, who was a puppet of Putin. No one knew where the president was on that day, and so we have also the memories of that revolution, which gave Ukraine, the past, almost 9 years of prosperity and freedom, and the fact that President Biden recognized that during his speech, the fact that he visited one of the key sites of the revolution, gave a lot of encouragement to the Ukrainians. But now the thing is, what kind of actual support will that turn into here in Kharkiv? That is felt, I think, very viscerally, because, again, 30 miles from Russia, those missiles can arrive before the air alarm sounds, and without long-range weapons, and also without really the permission of the United States, Ukraine cannot really attack Russian territory. So that leaves a place like Kharkiv a sitting duck. How can you ever win if you can never attack? There are some secret operations here and there, but if you can never truly go on the offensive, how can you ever win? And there's hope that this could change. That Biden's visit here means that there will be a change in mentality. There was a nice moment. It's really amazing, Bob, that President Biden took, in order to get to Kyiv, he had to take a train because you can't fly; it's too dangerous. And so the president of the United States, I think it's the first time that the president has been in a vehicle that is not, part of his entourage. He was in a Ukrainian train for a total of 20 hours round trip. Which is extraordinary. I mean, I think only maybe in the Queen's Land Rover, but never. The president never leaves his vehicles. And there's a picture of the president and his national security advisor in the special Ukrainian train car. There's an icon of the Virgin Mary above the door in the train car. It feels like you're in a Ukrainian living room, and you had the most powerful man in the world here. And I think that really is a sign of how the world is together in this. It's such a contrast to the crazy ramblings of Putin yesterday. And so, yes, there's a lot of hope and energy, but also trepidation.
Yeah, that was quite a picture. And quite a picture of Joseph Lindsley in the Sun-Times today, Mr. 8x10 Glossy. You can see what he looks like if you check out Neil Steinberg's column. And also a big thank you to our production team and the engineers all the way around who make these conversations possible. Until tomorrow, thank you, Joseph.
Yeah, save a copy. I wanted to see that, Bob. Thanks. And thanks to Haley Joe as well.
You got it.
Thank you for introducing Ukraine on your social media pages. That's very important, that much more people can get more information about the situation here and how everybody can help Ukraine to stay stronger and to save all the world.
А что он сказал?